Hello there. This is the How to Love Being Married podcast with Paul and
Shelley
Seeger. And we are here today to talk about funny experiences that happen in the family, how to bring a little bit of comedy into your marriage. Some of those experiences that you think are just horrible, rotten, make your day not so great. Well, makes it a little bit better later on down the road when you think about it, and you can laugh at those experiences. So we are here to share our experiences that we've had over the years that have been just horrible at the time, but are a lot funnier now when we look at it. And if we didn't have those experiences, it wouldn't be what it is today. It wouldn't be what our whole life is made up of. So
yeah, we're just going to talk about how it's important to have humor in your marriage. And, you know, I think it was on the first podcast I mentioned that when I met Paul, that was one of the things that I was really attracted to about him, is how he made me laugh. And
funny looks.
And he always does make me laugh, and it does make life really fun.
And I always say it's because she had a cataract. She actually does have a cataract.
But I think you're funny?
Well, that you married me, you thought I was cute, so it was all because she has a cataract. That's why she married me and thinks I'm cute, which I'm really glad about. So, anyway, looking back at some of the things that we've had over the years, I first promised that I would talk about the mannequin story that happened a few years ago. I don't know, how long was that? It's probably 3 or 4 years ago, but
yeah, probably.
So first of all, I don't know why this is, but every time you go to look for clothes, it's always the outfit on the mannequin. I don't know why, but the size, the color, everything on the mannequin is exactly what you want. At least what my wife wants.
I do not think this story is that funny. You and the kids love it.
Well, I think it is, but hey, my humor is a little weird, and I promised I'd tell this story. So we're going to go ahead and start off with that. But so we went to shop for some clothes for my wife. She's actually pretty good with the clothes area. She's not too over the top, but she does, like any other woman, she does like clothes. So we went to find some clothes, and anyway, it was the color that you wanted and the outfit that you wanted.
I found exactly what I wanted. I don't even remember what it was, but exactly what I wanted. And I loved the color, I loved everything, but they didn't have the right size for me.
So the size, she says, I want to look on that mannequin and see if it has my size, and of course, that's the size that you needed on that mannequin, and it was a shirt. And so,
is that what it was? So
anyway, she started stripping down this mannequin, and I'm like, oh, please, no, please, no. So I get embarrassed easily, so I said, I'm going to go across the store. I'll watch this from a distance, but I'm not going to partake in stripping down this female mannequin in the middle of the store. So
topless.
So anyway, she starts taking the clothes off this mannequin, and it was on top of a clothes rack, as I recall, and the whole mannequin falls off onto the floor.
Didn't the arm break off? I think the arm broke off.
I don't remember if that's what happened or not. I don't remember. That could have happened. Okay, we'll say we're gonna make this better. You know, it's kind of like the story. It gets better and better every time it's told. But anyway, so she starts tearing the clothes off this mannequin, and then it falls off the rack, and I'm like mortified. And as this is happening, I think she's towards the front of the store, and I think I'm in the furthest corner of the store, as far away as I could possibly get.
I'm like, come and help me.
And I'm like, I'm all about helping you, but I am not getting involved with this one. And so anyway, that was kind of a funny story, but she did find the size that she needed and took that home, and it was the most, I don't even remember what it is now, but you just had to have it. I don't know why it is. It's always the mannequin that has the size that you need, and the only one. So anyway, that was pretty funny. That was a funny story. So anyway, I guess the California trip to
that is the best.
We actually had 2 funny experiences there, and I think the thing about these experiences is you can think, at the time it was pretty...
It was intense.
It was intense, and this had to do with our kids.
And not funny at all.
And me. So the first one is the Sunny Delight. We'll call it the Sunny Delight experience. So
this was our very first trip to California with the kids, and we saved and saved to be able to do this, and it was like a dream come true. It
was our Disneyland trip.
But the very first thing that happened, Paul, was when we got to your brother's in Las Vegas, because we were staying overnight. I'd forgotten
about that one. So the whole trip was like this
circus,
one thing after the other. So.
And our twins were 1.5 at the time, and so that means that Tyler would have been about 4. No, he would have been about 5, and Austin 8, and Marissa about 11.
About 11.
Yeah.
So my brother was living in Las Vegas at the time, and we thought it would be. We all stopped on the way when we did go to California, and like my wife said, this is the first time that we went. But we stopped at my brother's in Las Vegas, and it had been a really long car ride. Everybody was hot, ornery.
With 5 kids, very long.
And my brother had a pool in the back of his yard, so I'll let you tell that one.
All right, so we get there, and the kids wanted to swim, of course. First off, they wanted to swim. And Austin's like, please, can we swim? Please, can we swim? And Paul says, that's okay. You can swim, but you gotta stay in the shallow part where you can reach, because we were fully dressed. We had just gotten there, so he's like, okay, and he's, like I said, about 8.
And I think he had a couple swimming lessons, but nothing.
He wasn't proficient at swimming. So anyway, so we're all in the back, and so the kids are back there, and Austin goes and jumps into the deep end.
Yeah, I said stay in the shallow, and he jumps in middle way, I think is what it was, but it was like 6 or 7 feet by the middle of the pool. He may as well jumped in the deep water. And all of a sudden I see blub, 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 and my son's just panicking there, about to go under, and so I'm there with my wallet. I had my
Well, you
wallet.
were fully dressed, yeah.
Yeah, fully dressed. Had my cell phone. The cell phones weren't too advanced at the time, but it was a pretty expensive cell phone, and it was my work phone to boot. So instead of taking everything off and worrying about it, you just jump in to save your kid, right? Mm-hmm. And so I jump in to save him, and my phone's going bzz, 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 just vibrating like crazy.
And this was when you carried a lot of cash to go on a vacation.
Yeah, pretty much your trip was in your wallet. You took a lot of cash. So
needless to say, your cell phone was broken, and we laid out all of the cash all over his brother's kitchen counter to try to dry out all the cash. And our cell phone's broken, and we hadn't even gotten to California yet.
So that was number 1. So we're wondering, what in the world's this trip going
Not very funny at the time, but boy, is it funny now.
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't have that experience, but not very funny at the time. Yeah. So next one, it was same trip, I believe.
Yes.
So we'll call it the Sunny Delight experience.
Yeah, because, okay, so you have this big long drive, about 11 hours to get to Anaheim. We did break it up with staying at your brother's in Las Vegas, but so we just didn't want to have to stop 100,000 times to go to the bathroom, for the kids to go to the bathroom. So we had this big Sunny Delight bottle.
We had this great idea.
And
the boys, the Sunny Delight bottle.
The boys were in the back. No, the girls, their sisters weren't going to see them, whatever. And so we decided, you know what? Rather than stopping, you got to go really bad. Just use the Sunny Delight bottle, and because it was empty, of course. And so our oldest son, he uses it, and then fumbles the bottle.
Well, it was passed around throughout the day, so it was getting full is what happened. It was getting full, so somewhere in there, one of them passes it around and drops the
Somebody fumbles it,
Delight bottle.
We had pee in our van
everywhere.
It was awful.
It was I remember we were so upset at the time.
Okay, we did not find any humor in that at all.
That was not funny.
No.
But it's hilarious.
It was very
now.
upsetting. Yeah.
I mean, what would life be without the Sunny Delight story to tell?
Heck yeah.
Generations and generations to come.
Absolutely.
So anyway, we didn't quite get to California yet. But we
No.
got to California finally.
And we
then-
had a great time. It was a dream come true. Yeah.
And then it was the Knott's Berry Farm incident.
Okay, that was a different vacation, but yeah.
Oh, that was the different. Okay.
Not the
I couldn't
same
remember.
one, yeah.
Okay. That was another time that we went. But.
So you have to know our second oldest son, he does not like rides. Like, he won't do roller coasters. He won't do anything like that. There's very few rides that he will ride at an amusement park. But he loved the bumper cars. So we're at Knott's Berry Farm, and finally it's time for us to do the bumper cars. So we everybody gets into their car, and the worker starts the ride, and the bumper cars are going, and I look over at our son, and his car isn't moving, and he cannot get it to go. And I felt so bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like one of the only rides that he'll ride. And so what did I do? Of course, I got out
You're
of
a
my
good
car. I'm a mom. Yeah,
Mama
so
bear.
I'm a mama bear, so
Right.
I get out of my car and I walk over to our son's car and I try to get it going. And all of a sudden, they stop the ride and they say,
Attention, patrons. Do not get out of the car. Do not get out of the car.
And so this was not funny at the time either because
Do not get out of the car.
Paul had said,
Do not get out of the car.
okay, he had said something like, what kind of idiot would do that? And then he saw that it was me. But I found out what he had actually said. Of course, he didn't know it was me when he said it. But anyway, I did get my feelings hurt on that one because I was only
I
trying
made
to
her
protect our
cry
son. But
because
sure is funny now.
I was honest and I said what I was thinking. So number 2, I
Don't
don't
be
know.
too honest.
do not tell your wife everything you're thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Come back to haunt you.
Yeah, for sure.
That was pretty funny at the time.
So another thing that was something that we look back on that was kind of funny is, it wasn't funny at the time either, but our oldest son, he was going through kind of a rough patch. He was probably like 10 or 11, and he just wasn't feeling like his home life was really great. He was feeling picked on or
His
something.
friends had a lot better life than he did.
Yeah, his friends had, yeah, for sure.
Everything was glorious there.
Yeah, and it wasn't as great at our house. And so he kept threatening that he was going to run away. He was going to run away. Now, me, as the mom, that was like scaring me to death. I was like devastated. Oh my gosh, he can't run away, Paul. He can't try to run away. And so anyway, but he kept threatening he was going to run away. He'd get upset at us if he got in trouble. You want to tell what you did?
Yeah, so I said, son, it's okay if you want to run away, but before you go, we need to make sure you are prepared. So let's sit down and think about what you need if you're going to run away, because I don't want you to run away and be cold at night. And so I said, where are you going to run away? And we have a gully that's just about 2 blocks from us. And he said, I'm going to go live in the gully. And I said, okay, so if you're going to live in the gully, you'll probably need some warm clothes, a sleeping bag. And then I said, what are you going to eat? And he says, well, I might come back for some food. And I said, well, if you're going to leave, then you need to leave. You shouldn't be coming back and forth. And my wife's like mortified.
Okay, I have to tell you, this was like breaking my heart that Paul's saying this. It was killing me. And you did tell him, we don't want you to run away.
We don't want you to run away, but
away.
if you're going to run away, let's make sure you're prepared, because you need to know what you're getting into. And he said, I just come back. And I said, well, if you're going to run away, then you shouldn't be coming back and forth just when it's convenient. You should make sure you're prepared. And he says, well, maybe I'll go over to my friend's house and I'll live there. And I said, well, there's only one problem there is it's illegal. They can't have a runaway in their home, or they could get arrested. I don't know if you knew that, but they could be arrested for that. So anyway, as this progressed and time went on,
you were helping him pack his suitcase.
Yeah, we actually got his suitcase and we got a few things out.
Oh,
I knew he wasn't going to really
I
run,
know you
run
did,
away,
but it was freaking me out.
But I thought, let's pack him up and get him ready so that if he runs away. So we're putting all these things in his suitcase, and he's preparing to run away. Anyway, as we talked, he realized that running away wasn't probably a really great thing.
He didn't want to do it.
And
he never said he wanted to run away again?
No, that was it.
Yeah.
So,
kind of funny now. At the time, it tugged at my heartstrings. And by the way, we never would have let him really run away.
Not that day, anyway.
Yeah.
No matter who your kids are, they're going to have some times where they're challenging. So anyway, we're glad he didn't run away.
Yeah, absolutely.
We wouldn't have really let him anyway.
No, we wouldn't have.
So another story is our second son. He had this little problem when he was born. He was probably about 2 years old. He was potty training.
We had no idea he had this problem.
It was about
Hopefully we're not embarrassing him right now. Yeah, so it wasn't until he was getting...
We won't say names. We'll just call him our second boy.
Son. And so, so we had no idea he had this problem. But when we were potty training him, he would pee into his little potty, and the pee would shoot up rather than
90
down.
degrees.
Yeah, it would just shoot up.
What in the world?
I remember picking him up to go potty, and like turning him so that he would be facing down, and the pee would still be going up.
Yep. So it's like 90 degrees. So
yeah.
Something's not right here.
So we took him to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician says, "Oh yeah, this can happen." I don't remember what it is.
It's a pretty easy little fix.
Really easy little fix, but he'll have to have a little surgery in the office is all.
So we had that done, and
he was so brave.
He was scared, so we said, when you're done, we are going to take you to the store and let you pick out a prize. So we did that.
Didn't we go to Toys R Us?
I don't remember where it was, but
anyway.
He got to pick something out.
So
a little prize of some kind. We were poor, so it couldn't have been too expensive, but he told him he could pick something out. So we are there in line, and a guy's in front of us, and all of a sudden he may have been 3 at the time, I don't know. He was between 2.5, 3 years old, somewhere in there. So he wasn't very old, but I remember we're standing there in line with him, and he starts talking to the guy next to him, and he says to the guy, I get a prize because I got my penis fixed. And I could see the guy's eyes just thinking, what kind of parents? Yeah, right. A prize? Yeah. Anyway, I was mortified at the time. I think, okay, the cops are going to come any time wondering what I'm doing to my child. And anyway, not very funny at the time, but looking back, is pretty hilarious.
It's pretty funny, yeah. So it's so important. It really is. It's important to find humor in life, and men are that they might have joy.
Yeah, men are.
And it's important to find joy in the journey. So when we got pregnant with the twins, well, first off, so we had tried for a long time. Not as long as some people do, of course, but probably close to a year. And got pregnant, so excited. Our dream was to have 4 kids. We were so excited. And got pregnant. We were on top of the world. And about a week later, I miscarried, which was really devastating for anyone who's had a miscarriage. So I went to the doctor, and he said, your levels are so low. Just go ahead and strike while the fire's hot. Try again. Got pregnant again the very next month. And so I went and got a pregnancy test, and the nurse calls, and she says, "We need you to come in and have an ultrasound." And I was like,
"Why?
Oh, why?" She goes, "Oh, we just need to see when you're due." And I thought, well, that's really kind of dumb because I just miscarried last month, so we know when I'm due. But okay, so we had 3 kids at the time, and so Paul and the 3 kids, they just waited out in the van because this was just for me to run in quick, get an ultrasound, see when I was due. So they're doing the ultrasound, and I see these 2 black circles. I'm only like 5 weeks along at the time, so you couldn't see babies yet. And I said, "What are those 2 holes?" And they said, "Well, it looks like you're having twins, dear." I was absolutely thrilled. I was so excited. And anyway, but I'm all by myself finding out that we're having twins. So I asked the nurse, I said, "Is that why you made me come in?" And she said, "Your levels were so high, we knew there was something up, but we didn't want to say." So I go out to the van and I have these 2 little, I don't know, couple little pictures that show the 2 black holes. And I said, "Paul, do you want to see a picture of your babies?" And he goes, "Babies? Did you say babies?" I mean, he was like,
I was
shocked
freaked out.
out of
I'll
his
tell you, I
mind.
was freaked out. I was wondering whether to have another one at all. No, I was excited to have
We were
another one.
excited to have 4. We got
but
5,
I
and we're
thought,
so glad.
2, because I'm out in the car at the time. I was out in the car
Yeah.
waiting because
Yeah.
they were just nutso.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just seeing when I was due. But what I was going to say about that, so find joy in the journey. So Heavenly Father sent us these 2 beautiful babies, and absolutely gorgeous, healthy, wonderful babies. But our daughter, they were boy-girl twins, and our daughter was a screamer. In fact, like she screamed literally nonstop for 8 months unless she was asleep.
Hurt our ears so much that we had to actually put earplugs in.
Yeah, because it was like when you go out in the
ears.
cold and you get earaches from being out in the cold. That's how high of a pitch scream that she did, and it would actually make your ears ache. Anyway, it was rough. That first year was rough, but we did it.
No sleep.
No sleep. I nursed them for 15 and a half months, I think, and so literally no sleep. But what I was going to say is, we go to church, and we took our kids to church each week. And I remember she would literally scream all through church. I mean, and so we were out in the hall with her and walking around, and we apologized. "We're so sorry that she just screams so much." And they looked at us like, yeah, she really does. She's a real problem. It's funny now, but at the time,
We were mortified at the time. I was like, "Oh wow!" But so
Yeah,
we have a
and-
lot of sympathy for people with kids,
absolutely. And
and you need to.
yeah, we would take 5 kids to church every week, and it was rough.
People do the best they can.
You just do the best you can. I remember feeling like we are so irreverent and feeling so self-conscious, and I just wouldn't want anyone to feel that way. You're doing the very best you can, and we promised ourselves that we would never forget how hard it was, that we would be easy on people when we were older and they were going through the same thing.
Absolutely.
So just good for you if you go. So that story. Funny now, not so funny.
Not
hard,
so funny at the time.
Hard 8 months.
So, you want me to talk about this one?
Sure, go ahead.
So I have a story that it only happened, I think, once. It doesn't need to happen very often, but I had gotten up in the middle of the night, went to the bathroom, went back to bed, and then my wife got up, and all of a sudden I hear a screech, and I'd realized then that I'd left the toilet seat up. And
Girls can about fall in if you do that.
so anyway, I've heard some guys say, "Well, I don't know why these girls complain that we have the toilet seat up. I just don't get it." So anyway, if you don't get it, just sit down with the toilet seat up. Sit down sometime, and that's what your wife gets to go through, because
Put the toilet
they
seat
don't
down.
stand. I don't know if you know that, but they don't stand. So put the toilet seat down.
Yeah.
It'll save you a lot of trouble. So I have noticed some guys will leave that up all the time, and that's how they keep it. It's like, well, that's her problem. She can put it down. So be a guy that's a good guy. Put the toilet seat down.
Absolutely.
So anyway.
Yeah.
there was this one too. We one more
Okay,
story.
so when the twins were just really little, they could walk, but I don't think talk much. So probably under the age of 2. So we went out to this VF factory outlet. I don't even know if it's there anymore. But anyway, we went out there and I went into the dressing room and I took our twin daughter in with me. And I was trying on some clothes. Well, Paul was out with the rest of the kids and I thought they were just right outside the dressing room door waiting for me so they could see what I was trying on. And so our daughter, she wanted to go out with them. So I said, okay, you can go out with Daddy. So I opened the door. Now, this was dumb on my part, I realize. And I let her out and I didn't say anything like, Paul, here she comes. Paul, are you out there? I didn't say that. That was so dumb. So she walks out there. So I come out with what I had tried on and I'm like, where are you? And so I'm looking around the store trying to find Paul.
Where's Caitlin?
And I go find Paul and the kids, and I was like, where's Caitlin? He goes, what do you mean, where's Caitlin? She was with you. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
We lost our little 2-year-old or thereabouts.
That's one of the most horrific feelings you can ever have when you lose your child.
I'm running to the front of the store like, don't let anybody out. Don't let anybody in.
So afraid someone's going to steal our gorgeous little baby, and so scary. And he's blaming me, and I'm blaming him. It really was my fault.
We did kind of do that. We kind of blamed each other, though, and it was a really stressful situation. But one that we can, and as I remember, one of the associates had found her in the store, and she was just there waiting for us to pick her up. She was
totally chill. She wasn't worried a bit, and it all turned out. But one of those things that you look back on, and it's not good to blame each other. It's best to just dig in and help each other. But we did
stressful.
We did play the blame game.
Really stressful at the time, but it's one of those things that you just look back and you have a tale to tell now.
Yeah. Okay, so I just told you that our youngest, our twin daughter, was a screamer, and she screamed for 8 months, but she was always when she was little, she was hard. She would bite the rest of the kids. She's an absolute doll. All of our kids are. But when she was little, she would bite the kids and just
you'd be sitting there and all of a sudden you'd come up, lean her head on your knee and then take a big bite.
So anyway, she was kind of difficult. And so her twin brother, this one day, and at the time, it was when eBay was really big. Like, you were selling things on eBay.
I was making
you were making a little bit of money off of eBay. So our cute little twin son, Caitlin was being, I just said her name. She was being really hard. And so Kyle comes to us and he says, I know what we can do with Sissy. Sell her on eBay. So that was pretty funny and something
it is really interesting how those two kind of interacted. They always
best
had
friends.
like a secret language almost.
They really
nobody
did.
understood, and they understood what they were saying. And
yeah.
One thing they admitted to now is we'd go to a store and one would run one direction, the other would run the other direction, and they did it on purpose. They
because
remember
if I was
doing
by
that.
myself, how do I catch
they said,
them when
we
they
remember
go?
doing that. So they did it on purpose. Those dirty
I don't know if
rats.
they really remember or they just remember me because I tell them.
They say they remember, but I don't know. But they seem to understand some strategy to do something crazy like that.
Yeah. Those two were funny too because when they would get in trouble, we would have them do timeout and we would give them opposite ends of the couch, and it was a reclining couch. And remember, they would talk to each other behind the couch. They didn't really have timeout. They were just having fun.
They weren't very good at timeout, but
yeah,
they did get to sit there for a while.
Yeah. So another funny thing is, so our oldest daughter, she was really, when she was little, she was really petrified of elevators. She was so afraid of elevators. So we went down, I suspect we just had 2 kids at the time. And we went down to one of the Salt Lake malls, and you had the stroller, I think.
The ZCMI mall before they knocked it down.
And so we had the stroller, and you had to go down the elevator with the stroller for our son. And we were supposed to go down the elevator, and she was crying and crying, and Paul's like, "Oh, just bring her on, just bring her on." I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna make her go on. I'll take her down the escalator. We'll meet you at the bottom, and we'll meet up at the floor down below." And so he was like, "Oh my gosh, just don't get mixed up. Just come with us." And I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna make her go." So we go down the escalator. They go down the elevator. And I have no idea how it happened, but we got completely lost from each other. And at the time, no cell phones.
We had no cell phone. There was no such thing.
I don't even know,
at the time.
if we even had one. And so, anyway, that was another little blame game, but something that's funny now.
I did it. That's what you got to remember, guys. I did it. Just say I did it. Learn those. I did it. Those words will save your life. I did it.
Anyway, those are just some of the stories that we thought of that have been fun in our lives.
And we thought we'd share them. I mean, I'm sure every family has their own little fun stories that they can tell now that weren't very fun at the time. And in the end, they teach you a lot of things. And if you didn't have those experiences, it wouldn't be life what it is. So,
and I was just thinking, if you try to make life fun and try to find joy in the journey, like you always say, "Oh, I love your smile." And I tell him, he makes me happy. You make me happy. And I think that if we have the goal to make each other happy, to find joy in the journey, to laugh, to have humor, to find funny things in maybe some hard things that happen, because hard things are going to happen throughout your lives. That's just part of life. But find joy in the journey, laugh together, have fun.
Humor is one of the great things in life that really help us. And
don't get
I
too
love
serious.
to laugh. Don't be so
right
serious.
Now there's a lot of serious stuff going on. Life is weird, but try not to get too serious.
I heard somebody say, "What are the things that you've learned that you've enjoyed about this time where we've all been stuck at home during this pandemic? What are the things that you've enjoyed?" And so think about those things that you enjoy about this time, that have brought your family closer together, that are positives. And remember those things when this is gone and we start to forget those things. Hopefully there's some good that has come from it.
And hopefully you're enjoying your family and enjoying each other just a little bit more.
Yep. Our next podcast will be about how to grow closer to your spouse. So we're going to be exploring that a little bit. We hope to have some guests on with us. So anyway, we hope you all have a fantastic week, and we hope that you all love
being married.